All right, let's dive in. Today we're heading back to ancient Mesopotamia,
Oh, fascinating.
a land just brimming with myths and powerful
In a
deities.
whole different worldview.
Right, like it really makes you wonder,
Yeah.
what can we learn about ourselves by exploring these ancient beliefs? We've got some great material to guide us,
Oh, excellent.
excerpts from gods, demons, and symbols of ancient Mesopotamia.
It's really not just one civilization we're talking about, is it?
Right, right.
It's millennia, a tapestry of cultures,
Yeah,
Sumerian, Akkadian, Babylonian, Assyrian,
got it.
each one adding to this really complex belief system.
So let's set the scene a little bit.
Okay,
We're talking about the land between two rivers,
of course,
the Tigris and Euphrates,
right?
in what is now modern-day Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
But their influence spread much wider, didn't it?
Absolutely. Think Iran, Turkey, Syria.
Wow.
And these rivers, they weren't just geographical features.
Right.
They were central to their cosmology, how they saw the universe.
I have to admit, I sometimes forget how literally everything in the ancient world tied back to their understanding of the cosmos.
Oh, it's so different from how we think now, isn't it?
Totally.
That kind of compartmentalized thinking.
Yeah.
For the Mesopotamians, the rivers were everything. Travel, trade, even creation.
Okay, so that's a good starting point.
All right.
This in mind, let's talk about their gods.
Okay.
One thing that I always find so interesting
Yeah.
is that each city had its own protector deity.
Yes.
It wasn't like a one-size-fits-all god, was it?
No, not at all. And you see such different personalities even when it's the same name.
Oh, really?
Ishtar of Uruk versus Ishtar of Nineveh. Totally different vibes.
Wow.
Place mattered.
So interesting. It's like each city had its own divine personality.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, you had these kind of most prominent deities like
Yeah.
Anu, Enlil, and Enki.
Precisely. Anu,
Oh,
Evan,
right.
Enlil, wind and storm,
Okay,
Enki, water, and wisdom.
got it.
And they governed the cosmos.
So each with their own symbols, too.
Oh, absolutely. Anu's horn cap. You see that everywhere in the art.
Uh-huh.
And Enlil, sometimes associated with a bird,
Hmm.
symbolizing power over the skies.
It's almost like their myths were a way to understand power,
Yes,
both in the heavens and also here on Earth.
that's a great observation.
Thanks.
A prime example of that, Marduk,
Okay.
the patron god of Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
His story in the Epic of Creation where he defeats Tiamat, this monster,
Right.
it really mirrors Babylon's rise to power.
Ah, so it's not just a random myth.
No.
It's almost like propaganda.
Yes,
It's showing how their god is the ultimate victor,
exactly.
reflecting their own ambitions.
Yes, it goes deeper than just saying that mythology reflected reality.
Total.
It was intertwined with their politics.
Yeah, yeah.
This gets to the heart of Mesopotamian belief.
And speaking of complex figures, we can't forget Inanna, or Ishtar,
Oh, yes.
the goddess of, get this, love and war.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Right.
That's not a combination you see very often.
Yeah.
She really shatters that simple view of a female deity.
Interesting.
She is creation and destruction, love and conflict.
Wow.
And even her descent to the underworld,
Right.
which is a central myth,
Yeah.
is so full of symbolism and psychological depth.
It really makes you realize that these ancient myths,
Yeah.
they're far more complex than we often give them credit for.
They really are.
They weren't just simple stories about gods and goddesses.
Right, they were grappling with universal themes, life, death, power,
Yeah.
the human condition.
It's fascinating.
But it wasn't all powerful gods and goddesses.
Right. They also had these demons.
Oh, yes.
And not always in that pure evil way we might think of it today, right?
No, more like forces of nature, sometimes destructive,
Okay.
sometimes maintaining balance.
So not quite the devils we imagine.
No, but they could be pretty frightening.
What was that one? The child-stealing demoness?
Lamashtu.
Oh, yeah.
Expected mothers, they were terrified of her.
I bet.
But what's interesting
Yeah.
is they also found ways to counter her.
Really? How?
Amulets of Pazuzu, another demon.
Using a demon to ward off a demon.
Exactly.
That seems counterintuitive.
But it shows how nuanced their understanding was.
Right. They weren't just good or bad.
Exactly. Even their bad guys had structure,
Ah.
hierarchy.
Okay.
Like there's mention of the 7 demons
Uh-huh.
working for Nergal, the god of the underworld.
Wow, so organized.
Right. It's like they wanted to impose order even on chaos.
So from the deities to these demons, it seems like symbols
Yes,
played a huge role in their beliefs, too.
absolutely.
Some pretty straightforward, like the horn's cap representing divinity.
Right. But then you have others, like the stylized tree.
Yeah, what was that about?
It's fascinating. It goes deeper.
Yeah.
On the surface, fertility, abundance,
Uh-huh.
but it became cosmic too, like the axis mundi, the connection between heaven and earth.
The axis mundi.
Yeah, it's like a central point connecting the different realms of existence.
Whoa.
Heaven, earth, the underworld.
So even a simple tree
Mm-hmm.
could have such profound meaning.
You see it in their art, kings interacting with it.
Wow, so every detail was loaded with symbolism.
Exactly. They weren't just decorations.
Right.
They expressed their beliefs.
This is all so fascinating. We've gone from this cosmic framework
Yeah,
to powerful gods and even these demons.
right.
Where does daily life fit into all of this?
Well, that's a good question.
What did they believe about death, the afterlife?
Death was a constant reality for them.
I imagine.
Their practices for burials, they were incredibly diverse.
Oh, interesting.
You see simple burials alongside these elaborate tombs, like the royal tombs of Ur, where human sacrifices accompanied the ruler.
That's a bit morbid.
It is.
So they believed in an afterlife then?
Oh, they grappled with morality, for sure,
Yeah.
and those beliefs probably changed over time.
Well, what's really interesting is their obsession with knowing the future.
Yes, they were all about divination, weren't they?
Yeah, the book mentioned extispicy,
Oh, yeah,
reading the entrails of animals,
right,
and astrology, too.
exactly.
It's almost like they felt it was predetermined.
You were always looking for signs, omens,
Eh.
believing that the future could be, at least partly, deciphered.
It's funny, isn't it, that desire to know what's coming next?
It's timeless.
We might not read sheep livers anymore, but we still check our horoscopes?
Exactly. It's a fundamental human need.
Yeah.
Making sense of the world, finding patterns, meaning in the face of uncertainty.
And for them, this is all tied up with the divine.
Yes.
Speaking of which, there's this one concept that really stood out to me.
Oh, which one?
The me.
The me?
Yeah, like ego or something.
No, not at all.
Really?
It's the opposite of ego. Me refers to divine powers, properties
Oh, okay.
that allowed civilization to function.
Oh, so it's not about individual self.
No, it's more like these divine forces working behind the scenes.
Okay, so like a network of divine energies?
Yes, permeating everything.
It really challenges our modern view of religion.
It does.
For them, the spiritual and the mundane were totally intertwined.
Completely.
Wow, okay, I need a moment to process that.
Yeah,
It's incredible how much ground we've covered
it is.
from these huge concepts of the cosmos
Right.
to the specifics of their gods,
Yes.
demons, and even how they lived their lives.
Quite a lot to take in.
But before we move on to those epic stories,
Right.
is there anything else about their daily life?
Oh, yes, there is, but I think it's a good place to pause.
Okay,
These myths and legends, they're really the heart of Mesopotamian belief.
you're right. I'm already reeling from all this.
We'll dive into those next.
Sounds good to me. Okay, I'm ready for those epic tales.
All right.
We talked about the epic of Gilgamesh a little bit earlier,
Yeah?
and I gotta say, I'm a little obsessed with that whole
I know. It sounds
searching for immortality thing.
It's a classic for a reason.
It really is.
And you know what's really remarkable? Gilgamesh's journey.
Yeah,
It isn't just a physical adventure.
right.
It's internal. It's about the human condition.
Yeah, it's like when his friend Enkidu dies.
Yes. That's the catalyst.
That's what sends him on this quest.
right.
It's not just about living forever. It's about
Mhm.
understanding life and death.
It asks those huge questions that
Totally.
we're still asking today.
Right. Like, what even makes a life meaningful?
Yeah.
How do we deal with grief?
It resonates across cultures, time periods.
And then the book also mentions the myth of Adapa.
Oh, yeah.
What's his deal?
Adapa, his story is so ironic.
Okay.
It really makes you think.
In what way?
He's offered immortality,
Uh-huh.
and he refuses it.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Talk about a missed opportunity.
I know, right?
But it does raise some interesting questions
Oh, for sure.
about, like,
Yeah.
humanity and the divine.
Mhm.
Would we really want to live forever?
That's the question.
What would we even sacrifice to do that?
It challenges us, doesn't it?
It does.
Like those anxieties about overstepping boundaries,
Right.
upsetting the cosmic order, maybe.
So we've got this hero's journey with Gilgamesh, and
Yeah.
then this more philosophical, almost cautionary tale with Adapa.
Right.
Are there other stories that connect with us on that human level?
Well, this might surprise you,
What?
but the Mesopotamian also had flood myths.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Like Noah's Ark.
Very similar, yeah.
I didn't realize that. So Noah's Ark wasn't the original.
Theirs came first.
Oh, wow.
A character named Zasudra
Okay.
predates the biblical account,
So it's not just about a specific event.
taps into something deeper.
Right. That fear of destruction,
Yeah.
the idea of a chosen few surviving.
Powerful stuff.
It really is.
It shows how they tried to make sense of the world,
Yeah.
using stories to explain what they couldn't.
Right. Like those big questions.
Life, death, fate.
It's easy to think of these myths as like just stories.
Yeah.
But they were so much more than that, right?
They were woven into their existence.
Yeah, from the cosmos
Yeah.
to their daily rituals, even how they dealt with death.
Absolutely. Their myths weren't just entertainment.
Right.
They explained the universe, their place in it.
It's like we've been on this journey through time,
Yep.
starting with those rivers
The foundation.
and building this world around them.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It really is, but what does it all mean?
That's the question.
What can we even take away?
Well, for me, it's this realization that
Mm-hmm.
we share so much with the Mesopotamians.
Oh, interesting.
We might be separated by time, but
yeah.
we have that same human experience.
Well, it's amazing. We might not have these pantheons.
Right.
Or do their rituals, but their stories still resonate. It's
Yeah.
like connecting on a deeper level.
Exactly.
Recognizing ourselves
Exactly.
in their struggles, their triumphs.
And that's the power of exploring these ancient beliefs.
Right.
They offer us a new perspective
Yeah.
on what it means to be human.
We're a part of a much larger story.
A narrative spanning millennia.
I love that. It makes this whole deep dive
Yeah.
feel so much more meaningful.
It's not just learning facts.
Right.
It's understanding ourselves, our place in the world.
Well said.
And one of the most important takeaways for me
Yeah.
is how they understood that religion and daily life
Mm-hmm.
were intertwined.
Yeah.
Everything they did,
Okay.
from planting crops to interpreting dreams,
Mm-hmm.
it was connected to the divine.
It's like the gods weren't distant figures. They are
No.
part of everything.
Exactly.
That's so different from how we experience things now.
It is, isn't it?
It really makes you wonder,
What do you mean?
how much are our own beliefs shaped by things we don't even realize?
That's a great point. We may not have their rituals,
Right.
but our worldviews are still influenced.
By history.
Culture.
Yeah.
Things that we often don't even question.
It's like a reminder, isn't it?
What is?
To stay curious, to question our assumptions.
To recognize the complexity.
Yeah, of belief systems.
Both ancient and modern.
I think that's the perfect place to start for now.
Yeah, good idea.
This deep dive, it's been a whirlwind.
It has.
Gods, demons, symbols, epic tales.
It's an incredible world.
What a journey.
And it doesn't stop here.
That's true.
For our listeners who want to explore more,
Yeah, what would you recommend?
well,
Yeah.
definitely read the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Okay, good one.
And maybe choose a deity
Yeah.
that really resonated with you
Mhm.
and learn more about them.
Yeah,
There are so many resources out there.
that's great advice.
Thanks.
I'm already thinking about what to research next.
It's a rabbit hole worth going down.
I can imagine. And to our listeners, we
Same.
hope this deep dive has left you
Mhm.
with a sense of wonder
Oh,
and
absolutely.
a desire to keep
To
learning.
keep exploring.
Until next time, keep diving deep into this amazing world of knowledge.
Happy exploring.
You know, as we're wrapping up this
Yeah.
deep dive into ancient Mesopotamia,
Mm-hmm.
I keep thinking about that idea
Oh.
of the divine being, like, present in everything.
Yeah,
It's such a strange concept to us now.
it is, isn't it?
But there's something powerful about it.
I think so too.
We tend to separate
Yeah.
like the sacred and the secular.
Right, like different parts of life.
But for them, it was all infused,
Everything was connected to the gods.
like you were saying before, planting crops,
Mhm.
interpreting dreams,
Yeah,
even going to war.
it was all part of that same tapestry.
It makes me think about how we try to find meaning today.
In what way?
Well, we might not like consult oracles anymore
Right.
or read sheep livers.
We've moved on.
But we still look for patterns,
We do.
signs,
It's
explanations.
human nature.
It's like that impulse to understand the
It's
universe.
still there.
Just the methods have changed.
Exactly. Maybe by looking back at these old beliefs,
Yeah.
we can learn something about our own search for meaning.
What if instead of separating everything,
Hmm.
we tried to see how it's all connected?
That's an interesting thought.
It's like we've lost that
What?
that sense of wonder,
Oh, I see what you mean.
that awe that they clearly had.
Yeah.
Seeing the divine everywhere.
And the rivers, the stars.
It's amazing.
And maybe we can rediscover that,
You think so?
even now.
But how?
It doesn't have to be about specific gods.
Right.
It's more about that reference
Okay.
for the interconnectedness of life, the mystery, the beauty.
I love that.
It's not going back in time.
Yeah.
It's bringing that wisdom forward.
Adapting it to our lives now.
Exactly.
I think that's what makes these deep dives so great.
What do you mean?
They're not just about facts.
No, they're about something bigger.
Challenging how we think.
And ultimately
Yeah.
enriching our understanding of ourselves.
Of the world.
This deep dive into ancient Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
It has.
The gods.
The demon. The symbols.
those stories.
Fascinating.
And it keeps going.
What do you mean?
Even for people who've studied this their whole lives.
There's always more to discover.
A new layer to uncover.
So for our listeners who are now feeling inspired
Yeah.
to go on their own explorations.
What advice would you give them?
Well, first,
Yeah.
embrace that curiosity.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to ask questions
Really dig deep.
into the things that interest you.
Exactly.
Whether it's reading the Epic of Gilgamesh
It's a great place to start.
or researching a certain deity.
There are so many ways of explore.
That's true.
And remember,
Yeah.
this is just one world
Right.
waiting to be discovered.
There's so much out there.
So much to learn.
So to everyone listening,
Yeah.
keep exploring.
Keep questioning. What's that?
Keep that sense of wonder alive.
Beautifully said.
Until next time, happy exploring, everyone.
Happy exploring.